She threatened Ryan and left without waiting for Ryan's reply. And poor Ryan starts crying, not able to do anything. She is an adopted child, and her foster parents are abusive. And now they are forcing her to marry a mafia. She has heard about him, but never saw him. She never heard any good about him. He is merciless, cold-hearted. He never cares about anyone. Jungkook entered in hallway, and Ryan followed him like a lost puppy. She was so amazed. She looked around with her mouth slightly open, but flinched when Jungkook shouted someone's name. He called her, and within a second, she was in front of him. He said simply and left without glancing at her. She felt a little hurt, but ignored. After all, he is not happy with this marriage. She said, and Ryan followed her. She said, pointing towards wardrobe, and Ryan nodded. She said, to which Stella hesitated first, but nonetheless agreed afterwards, and then left, leaving Ryan alone in her new bedroom. As soon as Stella left, Ryan sighed and changed her clothes and sat on the edge of bed, thinking if she should go outside or no, but decided not to. She lay down on bed and starts overthinking what she had done to deserve this. What he is going to do with her now? It's clear that he hates her. Then how she is going to live her whole life with him? What if he also gets abusive day by day? She shook her head at negative thoughts and hoped that maybe after some time he stops hurting her. After a while, she slept. Next day, she woke up by the rays of sunlight hitting her face. She opened her eyes slowly and got confused when she looked at unfamiliar room. But soon realization hit her heart. She is now married to a mafia. She took shower and did her morning routine and left the room after thinking for a while, but soon regrets when she looked around. It was so big. She don't know where to go. What if she gets lost in this big mansion? She was about to go back to her room when Stella came. She started smiling, to which Ryan greeted back with a little smile and followed Stella to the dining room when she said breakfast is ready. She entered in dining room and saw him doing his breakfast. She was scared, but she forced a smile and said. He stopped eating and looked up at her and glared without saying anything or getting her back. He looked back at his food and continued to finish his breakfast. How can she smile when she just ruined his life? He agreed to this marriage because it was his father's order. He hates her smile. She didn't say anything further and quietly sat on another chair opposite to him and starts doing her breakfast. After a minute, he wiped his face and left from there. Ryan also stopped eating and helped Stella with her work, even though she told Ryan not to. It's not her work. While working, they talked a lot, and Ryan found out that Stella is very friendly and 2 years older than Ryan. After completing their work, Ryan asked Stella to show her mansion, and she agreed and showed Ryan whole mansion. After a whole day spending with Stella, she went to her room. When she saw her mobile was in room, she checked it, and there was 34 missed calls from her foster mother. She gulped and thought if she should call back or not, and decided she should too. She shouted as soon as she picked the call. She said, interrupting Ryan's sentence, and Ryan gasped in horror when she heard the amount. Her foster mother again interrupted her and said, as soon as she finished her sentence, she cut the call without letting Ryan say anything further. She thought they will leave her alone now, but she was wrong. They married her to Jungkook so they can ask her a large amount of money anytime. But she is not going to ask him. He already hates her. She decided not to listen to her mother anymore and not to be afraid of her. She decided to skip her dinner and lay down on her bed, thinking about her life. Maybe she'll be able to melt his heart. Maybe he will stop hating her. If he can't love her, it's okay, but she just wants him not to hate her. She knows it's not possible. He nodded, but why he asked it? It's not like he cared for her. He hated her. He reminded himself and continued to do his dinner. Next day, she woke up early and decided to make breakfast for Jungkook. Stella helped her and she made breakfast for Jungkook and served him when he came to dining room to do his breakfast. He asked when he tasted it, and Stella said, his confused expression turned into emotionless. He turned his head to look at Ryan, who was smiling at him. He glared at her and said, he said and left without completing his breakfast. Ryan felt hurt, but she knew she had to work hard. She smiled again and said, she said and hugged her. When she saw Stella left the room, she broke the hug and said, she said and made a fist of Ryan's hair and slapped her. Her foster mother left and Ryan starts crying. Why can't they leave her alone? Why she can't live her life peacefully? She was so hurt. She locked herself in her room and didn't leave her room whole day. She asked between their dinner. He stopped eating for a second and said, he said and Ryan nodded because she doesn't want to give explanation why she wants to go to work. After 15 days, Her foster parents again came to ask for money, and again she had nothing to give. Her mother was so angry, and she started to beat her. One shouted at her mother. Her father got angry about it and slapped her hard, making her whole world spin. After beating her, they left her laying on the floor, crying hard. She stood up and went to the bathroom. Why her life is not giving her peace? She is not going to get love in her life. She was crying when she heard knock. She asked worried, but so regretted, thinking it's her personal problem. Maybe she doesn't want to tell her. And she left the room when Ryan said, he asked and sat opposite to her. Ryan looked at him and said, she said and again continued to watch TV. She didn't smile. It was first time when he didn't saw her smile, and he felt a little bad. He was used to see her smiling, even though he hated her smile. No, she is not smiling. It's good, isn't it? Then why it doesn't feel right? He came close to Ryan and looked at her. Ryan's breath hitched. It was first time he was this close to her. He said and left, leaving Ryan confused. Now, it's been 1 month of their marriage, and Ryan spent a lot of her time in library, reading books, and Jungkook was a little soft towards her. He was feeling something that he never felt before. He was supposed to hate her, but he couldn't. He was falling for her. He starts to love her. He never said it, but showed it in his actions. He starts to care for her. He takes her on dates and acts softly with her. And she noticed his changed behavior too, and she is happy. After getting ready, she came in the living room, waiting for Jungkook, as he told her that they will be going to watch movie. She said coming towards Ryan. Ryan looked at her and got scared, but didn't show it, and said, she said confidently. She was surprised herself. Where did she get that much confidence? But next moment, her foster mother slapped her and said, she said and smirked, looking at her husband. Ryan looked at both of them and said, she said terrified, knowing that her foster father is going to beat her, and Jungkook is also not here. She closed her eyes when she saw her foster father going to slap her. She opened her eyes after a few seconds when she didn't feel anything, and saw Jungkook hold her foster father's hand and looking so angry. He said harshly gripping his hand, and on the other hand, they both were shivering, looking at furious mafia. As soon as he completed his sentence, they both left, and he looked at Ryan and his angry face converted into soft and worried, and he said, he asked and hugged her as she sobbed in his arms. He whispered his last words. They decided not to go out and watch movie at home. During whole movie, Jungkook held her in his arms and time to time looked at her to make sure she is okay, until one said, she said and covered her face with her hands. On the other hand, Jungkook was feeling so happy. He never felt like this before. He looked at her and smiled softly when he saw her covering her face with her hands. He gently removed her hands and said, Jungkook was so angry when he found about their behavior, how abusive they were from start. He tortured him mercilessly. Jungkook's friend, who is in Mafia, she tortured Hwayeon's foster mother. And then Jungkook introduced them both, Jungkook's friend Sujin and Hwayeon, and they both become good friends. Hwayeon started to live her life happily. She always wanted a friend, and she got that, Sujin and Stella. She never lost hope, and now she is living happily with her husband, who would do anything for her.